more creative titles.
Oh, Sarah. Sarah has a dentist appointment, but she'll be here after that.
Yes, thank you.
You ready, Ms. Marner?
Now I am, yes.
Okay.
Paul Nicklin inspires us actually, not just a name he chose off a piece of paper like Jesus or Wiz Khalifa, but actually inspires us. A majority of the work he does and issues he covers or concerns and brings into light of our society are relatively local and modern. Issues going unseen in our own backyard. Nicklin is a photographer for the National Geographic's magazine, but he actually has quite a decorated resume as he is a Canadian biologist, photographer, conservationist, and photojournalist. Paul was born in Saskatchewan but moved to a small community called Kimahut. Kimahut is an Inuit village on the Meta-Incognita Peninsula of the Baffin Islands. He grew up with the Inuit, learning and living in the Arctic environment around him, and he knew he would grow up one day doing something that involved sharing information and awareness of these polar regions. So he went off and became a biologist, receiving a bachelor's degree from the University of Victoria in the 1990s. He worked as a wildlife biologist for the Canadian Department of Renewable Resources, and he studied species such as lynx, grizzly bears, caribou, and polar bears. Doing research that would take months of traveling on snowmobiles and would test their survival skills, only to come up with little data to show for their efforts and not imposing any real change. He thought, if I could do something like bridge the gap between this good science and the public by doing stories for National Geographic, then I might have a chance of enlightening 40 million people. And this is what inspired him to be the amazing photojournalist he is today. He now works as a full-time photographer for the National Geographic's magazine, photographing stories specializing in the Arctic and Antarctic ecosystems. Nicklin has documented many stories, like the importance of sea ice for polar bears, the slaughter of the narwhals in the Canadian Arctic, salmon farming in coastal waters, and a very important topic to Rowan and I would be the Great Bear's rainforests, Modi Bear, which is being threatened by the oil pipelines. Paul dreams to teach the world of these desolate and fragile polar realms so they can be understood, preserved, and protected from devastation we are causing today. To help conquer his dream, Nicklin has founded Sea Legacy, a nonprofit organization promoting conservation of marine landscapes globally. He's also a member of many other conservational groups, such as the International League of Conservative Photographers, or ILCP for short. He also took part in the Rapid Assessment Visual Expedition, or RAVE, for the Spirit Bears. Photographer, marine biologist, and biochemical engineer who has spent the last 2 decades as a conservational photojournalist. Christina has traveled the world, stepping foot in over 100 countries and visiting every continent on Earth. She is intrigued by the way Indigenous peoples across the world interact with their environment and focuses her photography on preserving the fragile relationship between mankind and nature. She uses her camera to visually communicate the lives and struggles of these Indigenous people, as well as their importance to safeguarding of biodiversity, languages, culture, and landscapes. Growing up in Mexico helped influence her passion with capturing the lives of Indigenous people, due to Mexico having a fairly large rural and Indigenous population as well. It's something that she has grown up with. Christina was born in Mexico City, and she grew up in a small town with her mother and father, who weren't necessarily into nature. However, Christina always had a love for the ocean. One lucky accident after another led her to receive a degree in marine biology from ITESM in Cuemas, Sonora, Mexico. She later married Dr. Russell Mittermeier and had 2 kids. Her husband was a conservationist, and Christina was able to meet and speak with other conservationists and photographers through him. She took up photography to try and make money on the side while raising her kids, and it basically went from there. With awareness comes change, and what better way to bring about awareness than through pictures? Christina studied photography at the Foreign College of Arts in Washington, D.C. It was during this time that Sony approached her and gave her a box of cameras to work with out of the blue. It was Christina's passion for nature and conservation, combined with devotion and talent, that allowed her to become one of Sony's artisans of imagery, one of 8 photographers in the world to represent Sony. Conservational photography is a tool to bring about change. It's using social media to bring awareness to issues that would otherwise receive no coverage and go unnoticed. It's a method of preserving what we have before we lose it. Christina is a part of many organizations and committees. She serves on the board of directors of the Wild Foundation, the Chairman's Council of Conservation International, the advisory board for Lighthawk, director of Coral Plantea, co-leader of Sea Legacy alongside Paul Nicklin, and writer, photographer, and editor of CEMEX Conservation Book Series, National Geographic photographer, and president/founder of the International League of Photographers. Paul inspires us in so many ways, I don't even know where to begin, so I'll start with his photography. As a generally left-brain child of society, I do not see photography as an art. I've always believed anyone could be a photographer with an expensive camera and a fancy filter, that a picture of an animal was just that, a picture of an animal. But Paul's photography is so much more than the average photographer, and the difference is devotion. The difference is taking 5 steps outside to take a picture of yourself with a ceramic filter, and then there's traveling many miles to throw yourself under the Antarctic ice in negative 50-degree weather to photograph a potentially dangerous seal killer. One is not like the other. Paul's photographs also have a sort of familiarity to them. You almost feel a sense of pride looking at these landscapes and animals that live in your own backyard, but you'll never truly understand the depth of the picture until you seclude yourself from society to experience nature that has not yet been tainted by human activity. His pictures of bears and salmon have such a homey and familiar sense to them that it would kill to see these animals disappear forever because of humans' ignorance. And I am proud that Nicklin will go through horrible lengths to preserve and protect and photograph these animals and environments to show and teach people that they still do exist. It's not necessarily Christina's pictures that inspire us. It's what she chooses to capture in her pictures that we feel is truly influential. Her photography focuses on the way Indigenous peoples interact with their environment. Through her photography and experiences, she is able to use the stories of those she's met, as well as her own, to show us why preservation of culture is equally as important as the conservation of nature. She will always have a story to tell and a lesson to teach. She inspires us to live as if we are children of the Kayapo, treating the world the best we can, respecting it for what it is.
Sam, don't worry, there's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle rap in mine.
Oh, I don't want that on there. Rowan, can you come back up so we can have some comments, some questions? Yes. Theo, can you just go back and just put their slide title on for us?
It's gone, she closed it.
Oh,
Sorry.
Just look at 15 Eagles Found Frozen.
no. Yeah, okay.
I would just like to interrupt and say that that beautiful presentation was brought to us by Rowan and Rachel Costel. Thank you very much, ladies.